Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dear Venerable monks and dear Dhamma friends, first of all, I should be very grateful and thankful for Venerable Geshe Dharge for inviting me to share some Dhamma thoughts with you all. We are today going to talk and discuss about Metta and Karuna, Maitri and Karuna, loving friendliness and compassion. Mostly I would talk according to the Theravada tradition and point of view. Since it's something related to loving friendliness and compassion, for sure there would not be any problem with those explanations. There are 4 Brahma Viharas. Brahma Vihara means to live divinely here in this world itself. Vihara means dwelling. Now in Pali in terms, where the Buddha is, that place is called also Vihara, in the sense of that dwelling for the Buddha, dwelling for the Dhamma, dwelling for the monastic Sangha. And so Brahma Vihara means where the Brahma beings would be dwelling. And even though if you are in human form, if you were to be with Brahma qualities, then you are called Brahma Vihari, or the person who lives in the dwelling of Brahmas. So that means you make your own body a Brahma dwelling through your own spiritual practice. Usually, Indian traditional belief was there. According to them, their creator God was Mahabrahma. And they had that belief, the creator God of Mahabrahma had 4 kinds of sublime thoughts towards his or her creations. Those were Metta or Maitri, or loving friendliness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So, the Buddha did not want to argue with that philosophical idea with them on this matter, if there is a creator or not. But what he pointed out was, monks, nuns, and lay disciples, if you also were to practice those 4 qualities, though you are not in really Brahma realms, still you are very much like a Brahma being. So the Buddha encouraged us to develop within ourselves those 4 qualities, so that everyone would be able to experience that Brahmic or divinely blessing while still you are in human form. So, not after the death, but while still we are alive, we can experience that blessings of the Brahmas, what they would experience in their Brahma realms. So, two of those qualities, main qualities, are Maitri and Karuna, or loving friendliness and compassion. The Buddha has appreciated at so many places and so many points the greatness and value of practicing Metta or Maitri. At a certain point in a book called Anguttara Nikaya, it says, usually, monks supposed to be with virtuousness. That's one of the most important quality monks should practice. They should be disciplined according to the disciplinary rules that the Buddha explained. Suppose if a monk or a nun is lack of those disciplinary rules and violated them all, that's not a good quality. There would be negative karmic results for them in this very life as well as in lives to come. But even that type of monk who has been violating those precepts, if that person is to practice Maitri or Metta or loving friendliness, you even would be able to overcome all that negative effects because of the power of this Metta. It's so powerful in that way. And again, at another point, the Buddha says, if anyone is to practice Achara Sanghata Mattan, which means like this much of time, a split of a second. If you were to practice that much of time, Maitri or loving friendliness, that person, Arittajjhano Viharati, that person, I claim that person is living not without ecstasies. Sattu Sasanakaro, that person practices according to what the master has asked you to practice, what the Buddha has asked you to practice, Sattu Sasana Karo, Ovada Patikaro. That's the person who follows his teaching. Amoghang Ratan, that person is a blessing for entire world. So, at another place in the Dhammapada, the Buddha says, if someone has been practicing Metta, from now on I would use the word Metta for loving friendliness, okay? Metta, constantly practices, that person sleeps well and would wakes up very well. In the leaflets I gave you also explain those things. We can recite that later. I would explain first. So there's a particular sutta called Karaniya Metta Sutta. In Karaniya Metta Sutta also, the Buddha says that you should try your best to practice loving friendliness towards all the living beings, just like a mother who has only one child. That undivided love and metta, maitri, how it should be towards the only child, very strong love. try to pervade similar type of loving friendliness towards whole the world, whole the universe. That's the ultimate target, ultimate uh, level that one should try to practice it. And so the Buddha did not say just like the Buddha do it, because no one really can understand how it would be. But especially the mothers would be able to feel and realize how their love towards their children. Even fathers would be able to experience that. And even children would be able, not maybe when they are very young, but when they are grown, and they, if they were to contemplate a little bit, if they were to think for a while, they would be able to experience how their love is. So in that way, the Buddha gave that example so that everybody would be able to get kind of closer feeling and idea how it should be. So it's not that easy. Gradually you can increase your loving friendliness so that ultimately you would feel whole the world, whole the universe as your own family members, your own children, your own mother and father and brothers and sisters. So in that way, gradual process and way of development is there with metta in this teaching. So uh, again, the Buddha says, loving friendliness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Those four qualities are there with the parents towards their children. Therefore, in this world, Brahmati Mata Pitaro, Brahma means mother and father. So, our real Brahmas are our own mother and our own father. They have those four qualities towards us. Maybe not for everyone, but at least towards us. If they did not have it, we would not be able to be alive by now. So, in that way, just like parental type of qualities should be tried to pervade throughout all the universe. So, that's a particular sutta called Mettani Sansa Sutta. Mettani Sansa means the benefits of practicing loving friendliness. The Buddha pointed out 11 benefits. Mettaya bhikkhave cheto vimuttiya, which means when your mind is absorbed in metta, asevitaya, when your mind is associated all the time with metta, bhavitaya, when you have been practicing it, developing metta within yourself, bahulikataya, and let your metta grow. Yani kataya, when yana means the vehicle. If you want to go somewhere, you would have to go inside of the vehicle. Similarly, now here, what's your vehicle is going to be metta. That means your whole life would be gone with metta. You would be inside of it. Yani kataya, vattu kataya. Vattu means something property, something valuable for you. So you would protect it. You would keep it in safe place. So this metta also something important, and that should be protected. It can be damaged, it can be ruined at any moment uh, because of the power of negative emotions, irritations, anger, jealousy, that type of negative emotions would damage your metta. So, just like something very important, most valuable, how you would keep that safe, guardian safely, similarly, you have to protect your metta. Vattukataya. Anuttitaya. Anuttitaya means if you can keep it not without metta at any moment. So all the time you would be with metta, anuttitaya. Then in that way, that means all the time if you can manage to keep metta within yourself, so that when you are walking with metta. When you are eating with metta. How do you eat with metta? There are so many ways that you can think. Even though you buy your food, for you to be able to buy it, so many people have been working to make it possible for you to be able to bought. And so you can pervade your metta towards the ones who cooked it, who prepared it, who bought it, who cultivated it, and who helped with their cultivation, and to this mother of earth, environment, everything you can appreciate, and you can have your metta towards all the living beings, including the nature, while you are eating and while you are drinking, and with everything. This way you can there are more than enough reasons to be with metta. If you are not mindful enough with your own emotions, and just let your thoughts go anywhere it wants, there may be many more reasons for you to get angry instead of metta while you are eating. It's same type of food even today, right? You can find so many reasons. It's now cold, or it's too hot now. It's too much or too little. I would rather have that one, not this one. In that way, so you can find so many excuses not to practice metta, but you have to use your mindfulness to develop and cultivate metta within yourself. While you are eating, while you are even serving. Suppose if you are making food or tea for someone else, you can have positive thoughts towards the person who is going to consume it in that way. So all the time, and even while you are going to sleep, in another sutta the Buddha says, Tittan charan nisinova sayanova yavatassa vigatimiddo. While you are walking, sitting, standing and lying down, until you get asleep, you have to keep your metta on. So you would get asleep while you are having thoughts of metta, and as a result of it, all the hours, maybe 6, 7 or 8 hours, unconsciously there would be metta inactive, and you would be able to wake up fresh and nice. And even though you wake up in the middle of night, you can still again keep on practicing metta. So if you were to sleep well, then that's good. if you would have to wake up in the middle of the night, that would be even better because you have another chance, another opportunity to practice metta again. Okay, so every moment would be an opportunity for your metta practice if you are mindful and careful with your verbal, physical, and mental, especially the mental actions. So, in this way, if anyone were to practice metta all the time, that person can expect 11 benefits out of it. So, I'm going to explain those. Later we can chant also in Pali language also, all those benefits also. The first three are easy to remember, related to sleep. Eka dasani sansa patikanka. 11 benefits should be expected. Those are Sukhang supati, sleeps well. Sukhang patibujjati, wakes up well. Na papakang supinam pasati, would not have any nightmares, bad dreams. So sleeps well, wakes up well without any nightmares, any bad dreams. So this is very important. At least if you can't sleep well without nightmares, then actually you have to be careful of your emotions and everything. That's something, if you really cannot sleep well, that's a sign of your mental and emotional quality would be not that good. I met one person in Sri Lanka some time ago. He came to the temple where I was and started to say, I can't sleep. All the time I keep waking up. And he explained everything. Then he was not that educated person and used to drink a lot also, alcohol and everything. I did not expect that much for him to do. Even though I was not sure if he can understand what I am telling, I just asked him to practice metta. Fortunately, he understood it and he started to practice. Honestly, he has practiced, and a couple of days later, he started to say he slept very well and he was so happy about it. Now he has been, promoting the benefits of metta with his friends and everyone. That's better for that environment, because some people, when monks are saying something, they think, okay, yeah, monks can do that, but not for us. But similar type of person, when they say, they would accept it. So in that way, this is something that you can practice, try and see the result right away. You can put this metta into experiment and see if it's really working or not through yourself. The best thing is there wouldn't be anything going to be bad out of this experiment. So, sukham supati, sukham patibujjati, napapakam subirambhasati. Sleeps well, wakes up well, and would not have any nightmares, bad dreams. Then, manussanang piyo hoti, which means that person who practices metta constantly would be a pleasant person, for all the human beings. Everyone would be happy to see him or her. I remember once His Holiness Dalai Lama said that he starts each and every day by pervading metta towards all the universe. So during the day, he would never meet any stranger but friends, because you are pervading friendliness. So that reflects on others, and they also would feel you as their friend. So manusanang piyo hoti. Then amanusanang piyo hoti. Not only for the human beings, but also for the non-humans. Non-humans means maybe animals, but more than that, other type of spirits also there, which may be not that developed, but though we cannot see, they are also part of this universe. So they also will start to feel you as if you are their friend, because constantly friendly vibration, emotion would be there around yourself and out of yourself. So they would be happy to see you. They would never disturb you, and if any opportunity, they would even protect you. That happens. There's a little story. Once, a long time ago in Sri Lanka, where I am also originated from, one monk from ancient city called Anuradhapura started to walk down south. That's about, I think, 200 miles down there. So he was, at a certain point, he was not sure if he should turn left or right at an intersection. Then usually those are jungle and forest roads, and no one would be there. Mostly, maybe once in a while, bullock cart or horse rider would be there, but not real pedestrians. So suddenly he heard the sound, respectfully saying, Venerable Sir, turn right, and you will see. And that sound gave all the directions. Then he knew that it was a sound of certain spirit or something, but it was a correct direction. He followed it and he went his destination safely. And he started to practice there. His main meditation subject was Metta, Maitri. You know, when you practice meditation, you would, according to your character, you would choose certain meditation subjects. But one meditation subject would be the main one. Now, this monk's main meditation subject was Metta, loving friendliness. So constantly he has been practicing Metta all the time, day, night, all the time. And after a while, means several few months time, he was planning to go back to the city where he came from. Then again he heard a sound of someone who is crying. Then asked, now he is all alone in a kuti, in a room in the forest. He asked, who is that? Then he said, I am one of the deities here. Why are you crying? Venerable Sir, after your arrival here, all the deities dwelling in this forest, in this area, came to be very peaceful. Before that, they had so many problems. Even the deities have problems. They had disagreements and so many things. And they were not that happy. But they have been now very happy and peaceful uh, among each other. Now, since you are planning to leave tomorrow, the same thing would start again. By thinking that, this way I started to cry. Then out of compassion, he started to live another month, another month, another month. This way, this repeatedly happened again and again. Then until his death, he lived in that monastery in down south there. And so that's how even those, spirits would like you when you are constantly practicing it. And even one of the sutras that I shared with you, what we are going to chant later, the background story of that discourse also, called Karaniya Metta Sutta, about 60 monks went to a forest at the time of the Buddha to practice meditation. When they had been practicing, the deities, those deities are called forest dwelling deities or tree dwelling deities. Those deities were disturbed by these monks because these monks were so virtuous and so powerful with their virtuousness, and those deities are not so. They cannot be there higher than the level of the monks. So they had a plan to chase them away. Like they appeared in different ways and moods so that the monks can notice. Like, like Halloween type of faces and things would be there. And even bad smell and everything. So these monks were helpless at the moment because they also had an agreement until 3 months is over. We would not talk to each other. We would try our best to attain enlightenment as soon as possible. If someone attained enlightenment earlier, that person would go to the village and bring, if there is anything necessary, to help others. That was the agreement. So they cannot even share what they have been experiencing because of this agreement. So at the end of the 3 months' time, they again gathered together and discussed their experiences. Then every one of them have the similar type of bad experiences. So no one was able to attain any higher state through their whole this practice because they were disturbed constantly for their practice. They were in fear, and so they decided to go back to the Buddha and did so and asked for permission from the Buddha to go to some other place and practice. Then the Buddha said, no, that's the best place for you, your practice. Go and start practice again. And every day, chant this sutra and practice according to this sutra too, this discourse too. This teaches how to practice metta and those qualities. then all those deities also started to feel so friendly with these monks. Then they even helped these monks in so many ways, and before long they all attained enlightenment. So, in that way, even the deities, um, all those spirits also would be care about and protect you if you were to be with metta. So, manussanam piyo hoti, amanussanam piyo hoti. Now we explained three benefits of out of metta regarding the sleep and be present for the humans and non-humans. Then devata rakkanti, deities protect you. That also already explained. Devata rakkanti. Na tassa aggiva visangva sattangva kamati. The seventh benefit. Constantly practitioner of metta would not be disturbed or harmed by aggi, means fire, poison or weapons. That person would not be harmed, would not be disturbed. This may be fire, poison and weapon, that usually what we call. And this also may be even negative emotions. You know, if you have hatred in your heart, that's like poison, harming your whole your system. That's like fire, burning whole your body, mind and qualities. That's like weapon, hurting and destroying all your great qualities. So those negative emotions, thoughts, which are like poison, weapon and fire, would not harm you and hurt you. And also, of course, if you develop your mind through metta or any other meditation technique to the level of ecstasies or jhanas, then actually you can prevent those things like harm from fire, poison or enemy or anything. Even beside that, your own inner negative emotions would not be disturbed if your mind is constantly full of metta. Na tassa aggiva visangva sattangva kamati. Then tuvatan chittan samadhyati, which means your mind would be one-pointed, would be concentrated very easily. When we try to meditate, that's one of the challenges, right? We all experience. Hard to concentrate the mind. So if your mind is all the time with metta, then your mind can be concentrated, one-pointed very easily, very well. You can, to make this clearer, you can see the opposite side of metta: hatred, anger, jealousy, that type of emotions. When you have that, suppose if you were in full of anger, hours of time, how you would feel? Can you concentrate? No, you cannot. You cannot even properly cross a road if you are in that burning anger. You would not know what's right and what's wrong. You would not know. You would not. You would be blind to see good and bad. So, right opposite side is metta. Then you would be able to concentrate your mind well and focus well. That's very important for your meditation to develop too. That's why no matter what your main meditation subject is, one of the four self-protective meditation techniques the Buddha wanted us to practice is metta. Metta should be practiced regardless of your main meditation subject for your own inner purity and protection. Protection from negative emotions. So, tuvatan chittan samadhyati. Mukhavanno vippasidati. You would be attracted. Even your face would be attracted by others. Because no matter how beautiful you are, you can go in front of a mirror when you are really in anger. No matter how beautiful you are, you would even not like to see your own reflection on the mirror. So, quite opposite side, metta. Mukhavanno vippasidati. Then asammulho kalang karoti. That person would die without any confusion. When we were to die, we have to face that last moment with peace and calmness, peacefulness within ourselves. So, if you were to practice all the time anger or something, for sure you would be confused at the moment of your even death. But if you were to practice metta, you would never be confused at your last moment. You would face to that moment also with peace. Now, you know, according to Abhidhamma, our last thought moment has to do something very big with our next first thought moment, because these thought moments are interrelated like chains. So if the last thought moment is a negative one, next one means next the very first thought moment also should be a negative one. If it's a positive, wholesome one, next one also would be a positive, wholesome one. So, if one dies with peace, harmony, and wholesome thought, making the last thought moment, the next one also should be something peaceful and wholesome. In order to the next thought moment be a wholesome one, that person should get birth in a wholesome place. Maybe in a good place as a human being or divine being, or if further developed even as a Brahma being. So that's very important thought moment. So no one can wait until the last moment to make it a peaceful one. We have to constantly, as a habit, practice certain things so that naturally the last thought moment would be a positive one and wholesome one. So asammulho kalang karoti. then uttaring appati vijjanto brahmalokupa gohoti. If that person would not attain enlightenment in this very life, that person would get rebirth as a Brahma being in the next life, or if not attained ecstasy levels, maybe as a divine being of good place, as even at least as even a human being. So those are the 11 benefits one can expect by practicing metta constantly in a deep level. So I think it's good to have open it for discussion, Q&A, if you have anything to ask. Yes.
Are you using the word metta and maitri as the same?
Yeah,
loving kindness.
Right, yes.
Okay. What does maitri, the concept of maitri say about forgiveness? Can you comment on forgiveness as,
Yeah.
is that part of the spiritual practice
Yeah.
that concerns maitri?
Yeah.
To practice forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, metta is Pali word. Maitri is Sanskrit word. Same meaning. Loving friendliness. Yes. When we practice metta or maitri, um, when we start to practice as a meditation, I would have to explain this, then that would be clearer. When we practice it as a meditation, we would first of all pervade it towards oneself first, like having thoughts like, may I be well, happy, peaceful, and so forth, and towards oneself. Then towards closer ones, maybe towards parents, brothers, sisters, children, and like family members, other friends, then gradually in this part of the world also, and then throughout all the human beings, then other animal kingdom and other spirits, and without any exception throughout all the world, all the universe. Then when you keep on practicing like this, we would come across certain person or group of people also, where we have kind of enmity with them, or they would have kind of disagreements or some emotional, negative emotional effects upon us. So when we have that, uh, our metta, our maitri would not be able to go beyond limits, but this should be limitless. So what we have to do is, first we have to in certain cases it would not be that easy to forgive. So we would have to think according to the Dhamma. All they are and we are, all we are sansaric, beings in the sansara, who goes according to our own karma. Contemplating, thinking according to that, we can slowly forgive them. And another thing is, we also might have done so many things wrong to others, maybe our own parents, brothers, sisters, and many others, with or without even our knowledge, in this life or maybe in our many previous lives, we do not know. So we can, in our minds, we can ask for forgiveness from them. So there would be kind of this agreement. without any condition, I forgive for them all the universe. And without any condition, I ask for forgiveness from all the world. Then you can let your metta, maitri expand without any boundary, any limit. I think, yes, there's something big to do with that forgiveness when you put into practice metta.
Can I ask another question
Yeah.
about that then? So, according to Dharma, and with forgiveness that is without limit,
Yeah.
What is a good practice for forgiveness of another person who or people who are not themselves repentant, for other people who will not admit or think that any of their transgressions, that there are no transgressions. How do you forgive someone who will not say, I did something wrong, I was hurtful, because I struggle with, I I understand that when we forgive other people, we are doing it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We're not doing it for them.
Yeah.
We're doing it for ourselves so that we can reduce negative emotion within us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It is easier to forgive, I think it is easier to forgive someone who says, you're right, I did something that was not helpful, that was not positive, that was not productive. And then they ask for forgiveness, and then of course, you give it to them.
Yeah.
It's more difficult, I think, to forgive someone who says, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
It was not, there's nothing for me to apologize for.
Yeah.
Yet you're still filled with, or you're still holding anger about that. And so, am I
Yeah.
making myself clear?
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah.
So
Actually,
on that.
even before you can have, thoughts like forgiveness for them, you would have to have compassion upon them, because they do not even be able to see their own faults. So better to have compassion. So they are so poor in that way spiritually. So they are wasting their human life, right? They do not value their own qualities. So have compassionate thoughts towards them. Then you don't even think about forgiveness. You wouldn't have any anger within yourself, but compassion.
So the compassion needs to rise above the ambivalence. It needs the first thing, compassion for their own missed opportunity, compassion for their own ignorance.
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
Compassion for their own not being aware of
Right.
how they are wasting their
Yeah,
own qualities of their
yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah. In that way, spiritually, they are very poor. So yeah, actually, it's very pity to see how many human beings have been so educated, so rich material way, how they are wasting their wonderful human lives. So you can have compassion. That's why next to the Maitri, the next important thought that you have to develop is compassion, Karuna. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything? Yeah.
Can you offer some advice? You talked about like when you're doing love and kindness meditation to go deeply.
Mhm.
So I find myself often doing it almost like as a routine. And I noticed lately when I'm like sending love and kindness to people that are close to me, that I'm going through, 5, 6, 7, people and saying, may you have peace, may you live at ease. But I am like saying it, but not really feeling it deeply. It almost seems like I grew up with like a prayer before you went to bed.
Mhm.
You said like, now I need not to sleep, pray myself to keep, and then you would name everybody like in your family and all your friends. And it doesn't seem really, I'm having trouble like just with that deepness, not making it into like a routine meditation.
Yeah, that's why important to practice first of all towards yourself, towards oneself, um, with or without words. That metta feeling is very important. First, in order to get that feeling, you might use words at the very beginning. Words like, may I be well, may I be happy, may no harm come to me, may no problems come to me, may no difficulties come to me, may I have courage, determination, and understanding to overcome all the inevitable difficulties in my life. May I mentally, physically, spiritually, may I be stronger, happier, and more successful. Any kind of positive thoughts, wholesome thoughts, good wishes towards yourself by using the words. But when you keep on pervading like that honestly and taking complete meaning of the words, you would start to feel metta. Then when you start that feeling of metta, that would be even able to feel even physically throughout all your body. Then you have kind of self experience of metta. Then from that point onwards, you really do not need words anymore. You can just sit and turn your metta on. That's feeling. Then naturally, when there's enough metta for yourself, naturally you would start to think about, recall about your closer ones. Now, what if my children also have this kind of feeling within themselves? What if my mother and father, brothers and sisters also feel like this? Then you can, that's the time for you to pervade your metta for others. It should come naturally. Then that metta would be even growing very fast. Then if there is anybody where you have kind of enmity, you would even reduce it, because your metta is getting stronger and stronger. That negative feelings would be reduced and disappeared, at least at the moment of your practice. So you can pervade it more and more, broader and broader. In that way, gradually you have to go deeper. But the important thing is to get that metta feeling. when really you have that metta feeling within yourself and you are able to go one round with all the world or so, within 1 second you would be able to feel metta throughout all the universe, including yourself. When you think about yourself, only yourself, that includes all the universe too. When you are thinking about all the universe, you are also there. In that way, that would you can develop it. Yeah.
In theory, this all makes sense to me. But it takes a very long time, for me anyway, I'll speak for myself.
Mm.
And sometimes I feel like I've taken 5 steps forward, and then I get stuck and discouraged, and I end up taking 3 steps back.
Mm.
And I don't know how not to get discouraged, because this is such a long process
Mm.
to
Yeah. Yeah, that's very natural. Because of so many things, we would today maybe we practice very well from the time that we started to the end, very nice. But maybe tomorrow, no matter how we try, mind would be all over the world. But the good thing is, every single practice, even for a second, would not be in vain at all. All that little practice will be helpful, if not in this life, some other life, many lives to come. All our sansaric practices would be helpful even for our development of this life practice. So, and that's why even the Buddha, when he was to prescribe the meditation subjects to others, the Buddha was able to see what type of thing they have mostly practiced before. In accordance with that, he would give the meditation subject for you to practice. So even 1 second of practice would be helpful for your higher development. Yeah. Yeah. So never get discouraged. No matter how bad your practice is today, whenever possible, start practice. If not metta, maybe some other meditation subject.
Well, I have a specifically hard time with equanimity. Specifically,
Yeah.
is very difficult for me to even understand sometimes how you could have equanimity. That's the hardest one for me, I think.
Yeah. That's the hardest one for everyone. You know what? Out of 4 sublime states, that's the 4th one. Why it's in the number 4, the last one? Because that's the hardest one. The easiest one is metta, then compassion, then sympathetic joy, then the equanimity. And so, if it's too hard, start again with metta and other. Yeah. Yeah. Then, if there is not anything else to talk, then let's pay a little bit attention on compassion too, and Karuna. Compassion. Karuna means, now Metta is friendliness. Karuna means when you see someone in trouble, uh, that heart of the good person would feel it and have kind of thought which is known as compassion or karuna. So in order to practice it, we have to think about the ones who are suffering, being subjected to suffering. Actually, when you think deeply, except the ones like enlightened ones like the Buddha or Bodhisattvas or so, majority of the universal beings are suffering many ways. Clearly we can see the ones who are in hunger or lack of medicine and so many things. And more than that, actually, even human beings are suffering emotionally. So whole the world need that compassion. You can have it as thought first, then words, compassionate words, and compassionate actions. So all these three ways, emotional feeling of compassion and verbal compassion and something practical, compassionate things should be done for the benefit of oneself as others. That's good for the practitioner, first of all, and for all the world, all the universe. You know, even the Bodhisattva, at the time he was wishing for becoming a Buddha, he had that ability to get enlightened right away, right at the moment, in front of the Buddha Dipankara. But he had that great compassion towards all the other beings and gave up that attainment of enlightenment right away with full awareness of the suffering of this sansaric journey. He accepted it all and proceeded to become the Buddha. So that compassion is also very important, something to practice in many ways. So when you practice compassion, that's opposite of jealousy. Opposite of jealousy. So that also kind of negative thought that we have to work to get rid of. So usually people would be jealous of good looking or popularity or wealth or health, those things like that. But all those are very temporary things which are changing, and usually all the world is suffering from many things like even death, diseases, you know, so many things. So in thinking in that way, we have to develop within ourselves the great quality, sublime quality of compassion, karuna too. Yeah. Then the next one naturally comes mudita, sympathetic joy. So when you see, instead of the suffering ones, when you see the ones who are happy, we should be able to be happy and rejoice on their happiness. maybe we can start with material things, but the ones who are enjoying real happiness within themselves are the great beings like the Buddha. So if we can rejoice that emotionally, we are uplifting ourselves to closer to their level. So we also could experience deeper kind of happiness too. Then the upekha, equanimity comes. Then we have to see the impermanence, and as a result of one's own good and bad deeds, they are experiencing good and bad things in the life. So thinking about that, you have to have balanced mind. Otherwise, you would be suffering also. So you have to make your mind balanced. Yeah. Okay, then shall we read those pages? Yeah. Okay. All right. Then who would be the good reader so that
Someone with a good voice,
yeah,
strong voice.
strong noise. Yeah, you can actually, since everyone do not have the papers, so you can read only the English part. There's both in English and Pali. Page 47B, you can start with. Do you want me also to read it? Okay, let's then read
Nobody
together.
wants to read?
Huh? You can? Okay.
47b.
Yeah, 47.
Discourse on loving friendliness. One skilled in good, wishing to attain that state of peace, should act thus. One should be able to straight, upright, obedient, gentle, and humble. One should be content, easy to support, with few duties, living lightly. Controlled in senses, discreet, not impudent, unattached to families. One should not do any slight wrong, which the wise may censure. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long or large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another.
Next page, 48B.
As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hatred or resentment. Whether standing, walking, or sitting, lying down, or whenever awake, one should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here. Not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision. Removing desire for sensual pleasures, one comes never again to birth and union.
Yeah.
The protection of loving friendliness. May those with no feet receive my love. May those with 2 feet receive my love. May those with 4 feet receive my love. May those with many feet receive my love. May those with no feet not hurt me. May those with 2 feet not hurt me. May those with 4 feet not hurt me. May those with many feet.
49b.
May all beings, all those with life, may all those who have become all in their entirety, may all see what is good, may suffering not come to any. Discourse on the benefits of loving friendliness. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Buddha was living at Savatthi, at Jeta's Grove in the park of Dhammaloka. There the Buddha addressed Bhikkhus. Bhikkhus, yes, venerable sir. But Bhikkhus replied, the Buddha said, O Bhikkhus, there are 11 benefits from the practice of loving friendliness that arrive from the emancipation of the heart. If repeated, developed, made much of, made a habit of, made a basis of, experienced practice, well started, these 11 benefits are expected. What 11? One sleeps well, gets up well, does not have nightmares, becomes affectionate to human beings, becomes affectionate to non-human beings. The deities protect one, neither fire nor poison, nor weapon affect one. One's mind becomes calm immediately. One's complexion brightens. One dies without confusion. Beyond that, if one does not comprehend the highest, one goes to the world of Brahmins. O Bhikkhus, there are 11 benefits from the practice of loving friendliness that arise from the emancipation of the heart. If repeated, developed, made much of, made a habit of, made a basis of, experience, practice, well begun, those 11 benefits are expected. Thus spoke the exalted one, delighted, those Bhikkhus rejoiced in what the exalted one had said.
Thank you. So, I think we can practice metta for a few minutes, right? Before we end today's Dhamma. So, you have been seated in comfortable posture. You can keep your right palm on your left, gently 2 thumbs touching together. You can close your eyes fully or half. Pay attention to yourself, your body, and physical feelings throughout whole your body, from head to toes, toes to head, back and forth. Pervade all the positive thoughts of loving friendliness towards yourself. In your mind, making yourself good in health, long life, happiness, peace of mind, spiritual development. similar type of positive thoughts towards your closer ones, family members, wishing them all good health, long life, happiness, peace of mind. Neighbors, friends, relatives, everyone that you know, all the human beings in this part of the world, everybody in the other parts of the world, all the human population, wishing them all good health, long life, happiness, peace within themselves and among each other. Animal kingdom, spirits, deities, Brahma beings, hell beings, all the world, all the universe, without any exception, any boundary, any limit. Again and again, starting from yourself, keep on pervading thoughts of loving friendliness. Keep in silence for a few minutes. Now slowly open your eyes. I am going to bless upon you all, wishing you good health, long life and happiness by the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, by the blessings and power of all the Bodhisattvas and deities. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkhantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkhantu sabba devata sabba dhammanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkhantu sabba devata sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te. Let's share the merits with all our departed ones, our ancestors, everyone that you know who passed away, and all the everyone, even related to your many previous lives, whosoever welcome merits from you. Let's share the merits that you have been acquiring at this moment, all the positive thoughts, all the wholesome thoughts, with them all by reciting this formula. I am reciting, you can listen to it. Idang me ñāti nang hotu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Idang me ñāti nang hotu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Idang me ñāti nang hotu sukhita huntu ñātayo. May all the divine beings rejoice on these merits. May they also attain the ultimate supreme bliss of Nibbana. Bearing such thoughts, please listen to me. Akasattha ca bhummattha devānaga mahiddhika puññantang anumodittva cirang rakkantu loka sāsanang cirang rakkantu desanang cirang rakkantu mang paranti. May you all be blessed by the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. May you all attain the Nibbanic happiness. Thank you very much. And Venerable Geshe asked me to make a self-introduction. So I would like to do that right now. I have been a Buddhist monk for a long time, since 1982. Got ordained as a novice monk in Sri Lanka, and I studied over there until my master degree and another degree called Pandita degree. And I came to New York in 98, and from that time onwards I have been teaching the Dhamma, and I got yoga teachers training also. Afterwards I have been teaching together with the Dhamma and meditation, yoga also. And I started that United Sangha Council also, and afterwards I have this close connection with Venerable Geshe Dharge also, since he is also the secretary of our United Sangha Council. And yes, my I came for the first time to New York, and I am living in New York Buddhist Vihara, and we are building up another branch temple in Connecticut also, and upstate Hudson Valley also we have another been building up. And in Sri Lanka I started build up yoga and meditation retreat center. I'm going back on 29 to start again work over there. So that's what about myself.
So when will you be coming back? You're going to Sri Lanka. When are you coming back to the States?
Maybe several months afterwards, yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for teaching us today.
Oh, thank you. You're very welcome.
Thank you.